to the FanDuel Punch-Out. I'm Jason Gilbo, JGilbo11. With me is Russell Clay, at Russell J. Clay. Taking a look at hitters on tonight's 13-game slate, which does include Coors, but it also includes a lot of other games that we kind of like for offense. I mean, the potential there in Houston or in Baltimore is certainly there again. A couple other games we'll get to. So overall, I mean, last night we talked about the possibility of just kind of avoiding Coors, and it pretty much worked out.
Oh, it absolutely worked out. I mean, I don't think either of us saw what the Orioles did happening. But yeah, I mean, the Astros, quite a few other teams as well. That it kind of made sense that they did well in their matchups. So yeah, no. Overall, though, I think it's a little different situation tonight. The pitching was actually pretty decent for Coors last night.
Yeah, it definitely was. Now you got Mike Montgomery versus Jeff Hoffman, a little bit different situation.
Right.
So, first game here, we do have the Orioles and Astros, and Chris Tillman versus Mike Fiers. Obviously, both these guys are reverse splits. Both of them can be a little bit home run prone. I mean, they're very similar arms, obviously. I mean, well, not in combination of success. Tillman has provided a little bit more of stability at times, but overall, I do like the right-handed bats once again here in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we definitely, for the Orioles side, have to look at Machado and Adam Jones again as sort of that little combination. And then, I mean, even a Mark Trumbo. I'm not willing to say that I'm not going to be on them like I was yesterday. So I think even though they are expensive and even though they do kind of make things a little uncomfortable, I'm certainly willing to throw them in more so today.
Yeah, I definitely am as well. I mean, obviously, given the ballpark, as you mentioned, I mean, those names right there. I mean, Al Fiers 1.53 home runs per nine since last year, low ground ball rate, 345 WOBA, 36% hard ball rate. It all kind of adds up for another. Obviously, I'm not going to say that they're going to hit 4 or 5 home runs in the first inning again, but I think there's definitely going to be some home runs to be had from that offense.
Definitely.
As far as Houston goes, I mean, I do rank them behind Baltimore in terms of this game, but it's hard to not knock kind of the right-handed bats here again. And I'm going to look at Carlos Correa for a rebound game. I mean, he was kind of the only one to not do anything in that game last night. He had like a little dribbler down the line, which got it for a RBI single, but other than that, he looked lost. So given Tillman, I mean, 330 WOBA since last year to righties, 1.40 homes per nine. I'm okay kind of firing away with some of those major right-handed bats.
Yeah, and I was talking to you during roster construction last night, and I was like trying to fit in Correa, Altuve, Springer, and Gaddis. And at like 6:45, I was like, you know what, dude? Like, Gaddis is too expensive, man. And I just went all Correa over Gaddis, and it was a horrible situation. But, yeah, no, I think, I mean, 3K certainly isn't a positive indicator for today. Obviously not seeing the ball well, but I think we fire away with him again at that price. I'm just going with it again. The guy today that I might be a little more interested is Bregman. I think that top 4 stack is definitely in play.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, pretty high run total there. Obviously, in that ballpark, right-handed bats are certainly in favor. And I guess we can still throw out a Chris Davis, even though Fiers is reverse splits. He's still pretty average against lefties as well.
Yeah, and 4 homers in the last 3 games, so that's pretty good.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Marlins and Pirates next here. Chad Kuhl versus David Phelps, and I kind of view this one how I viewed yesterday. The Marlins racked up a ton of hits and base runners, but couldn't do anything with it. Here, I don't mind the Yelich price tag. I don't mind Ozuna, Gordon. I don't mind their prices. But overall, as far as this game goes, it's not really attractive. Gregory Polanco is probably still the one I would probably have the most exposure to from this game.
I guess the guys, like if Ichiro sneaks, obviously he hasn't been hitting leadoff ever since D. Gordon got there. But if they do something weird with their lineup, like bring Ichiro up to the 2 spot or something, I'm okay with that at 2,800. If they kind of leave him at the 6 or 7 spot, probably won't touch him. But something like that. A Yelich I like at 35. But yeah, overall this is kind of a gross Marlins lineup right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just this game in general, I just don't feel like there's a lot of upside in combination to the other games that we've already talked about and the ones we'll continue to talk about here.
Right.
Cardinals and Phillies next here. Jeremy Hellickson versus Luke Weaver. big fan of the lefties in this game. I mean, Matt Carpenter, 3,900, obviously a pay-up option if you're looking to do that. Hellickson, 3.36 WOBA since last year to lefties, 1.27 home runs per 9. If Brandon Moss is in the lineup, I would give him a look as well, even though he is a little bit more expensive. But I don't mind some of the bats there.
Yeah, for those of you that went with Carpenter yesterday, I think we're going at him again today, trying to get paid off on another good matchup here today. So yeah, definitely fire away with that. As far as Brandon Moss, if he is there, I think you're right. I think you definitely do look at him again, and I'm not even afraid of using Piscotty here against Hellickson.
No, I'm not either. I mean, if they have Greg Garcia leading off for a punt play, I mean, because there's a core slate and you need to punt and you're paying up at pitching or something like that, and you want to get someone in, I'm okay with that there.
Right.
So, as far as the Phillies go, I mean, I don't mind the prices here. Odubel Herrera certainly intriguing at 2,700. Maikel Franco. I'll even take a stab at Ryan Howard in the GPP at that price. I mean, obviously inexperienced arm righty there. In that ballpark, friendly for power. I'm okay in GPPs looking at a couple Phillies.
Yeah, and Howard's really turned it around over the last little stretch here, so certainly in play at this stage. I like Herrera. That's kind of the guy I'm looking at 2,700 against a relatively weak arm. So definitely firing away there. Probably not going to get much of the rest of this Phillies lineup.
No, me either. Nationals and Braves next year, Max Scherzer versus Tyrell Jenkins, and I think you know where we're looking for offense. And it's not on the home team.
Oh man. maybe they'll bring back Javi Lopez and Andrew Jones for tonight, and then maybe I'll like them.
Yeah, a little Chipper Jones action. I mean, you could definitely do that. But yeah, throwback night down at Turner Field. I don't think that's happening.
No.
As far as the Nationals go, I mean, I'm okay certainly with using them. I mean, they're an interesting swerve off of some of the other popular offenses. And obviously Jenkins has been beat up. I mean, really on both sides there. Has given up a lot of home runs. I'm certainly okay with using basically 1 through 5 in the order here, but they are a little bit expensive.
Yeah. And obviously Worth better against lefties, but I do think he's in play tonight. Oh my God. Okay, I remember him. Nate McLouth. Do you remember Nate McLouth?
Yeah.
Dude, when the Braves got him in a trade, I was so excited. He had like really good numbers, and then he was just really mediocre with the Braves. But it was like really exciting when they got him.
Exciting time to be a Braves fan.
Yeah, those were a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I think Murphy and Harper are probably both in cash game play if you want to pay up tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And as we mentioned, the Braves are not really worth a look at all.
No.
Dodgers and Reds next year, Brandon Finnegan versus Brett Anderson. And we talked about this game as far as the pitching goes. And you obviously have a couple of guys you could possibly take a look at. Brandon Phillips at 2,700, I'm okay. Eugenio Suarez, I'm okay with. Zach Cozart, if he finds himself into the lineup, I'm okay with those 3 right-handed bats. Not something I'm jumping all over, though.
Hey, this Joey Votto guy is pretty good at baseball, huh?
Hey, it's not too bad. Yeah, I mean,
good, man.
He's only hitting like 800 in the second half.
I've been watching him. He's like not like I don't think many people know about him, but like he's pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of quietly comes into the radar, hits like 600 in the second half, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what this Reds lineup looks like. I'd say you kind of wait it out. But I mean, if Cozart's there, that's a decent price. If Duvall's there, certainly a decent price. In terms of this Dodgers, I know I said like I don't mind Finnegan, but there's also major downside here. So I definitely am looking at Justin Turner. I certainly like that, and even a Howie Kendrick leading off there.
Yeah, definitely. And that's another one where I'm kind of waiting to see what the lineup is when that comes out. I mean, hopefully there are a couple of right-handers that sneak up on top of the lineups, but there's been a reason why the Dodgers have been bad against lefties this year. I mean, some of those righties really don't have the greatest numbers against left-handers, but obviously when you look at Finnegan, he's a guy who certainly does have blow-up potential and does allow a ton of home runs. So it is something to worth a look. I think I'll be much more inclined to see what happens when that lineup comes out.
Absolutely.
Red Sox and Tigers next year. Daniel Norris versus Drew Pomeranz. I like some of the Red Sox right-handed bats. Obviously, Hanley Ramirez at 3,600, who's crushed lefties, and obviously with his numbers in the second half have been much better as far as power goes. And I don't even mind a Bogarts at 3,400. I think that's definitely a reasonable price.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is another night where you can potentially use Benintendi depending on where he is in the lineup. Obviously, if he's batting ninth, 2,800 probably isn't enough of a pay down here, but it is another pretty decent matchup for the end of the lineup potential here. Maybe you go with a Brian Holiday if he's in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Holiday Hill, obviously some cheap exposure to the lefty there. Mookie Betts at 4,500, not quite sure I can jump on that price, even though he's been super hot. Outside of that, though, I mean, you can certainly look at the righties. As far as the Tigers go, I'm not really on them. I mean, you can obviously still look at an Ian Kinsler, J.D. Martinez. I mean, J.D. Martinez at that price against the lefty is something I'm still intrigued with.
Yeah, definitely still intrigued by the Tigers. Certainly not a cash game situation, but you do like some of the prices for the matchup. So overall, I'd give this game about a 7 out of 10 in terms of excitement rating. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
Pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Blue Jays Indians next here. Josh Tomlin versus Aaron Sanchez, and once again, I mean the Blue Jays are dealing with injuries. Josh Donaldson not in the lineup last night. Troy Tulowitzki wasn't in the lineup last night. If they are, I certainly don't mind it because Josh Tomlin and his reverse splits against a right-handed team, and given the fact that Tomlin had 1.99 home runs per nine, I'm definitely okay with using Devin Travis, Donaldson if he's in the lineup, Encarnacion, Tulo, Martin. I'm definitely okay with those right-handed bats.
Yeah, certainly. And I mean, at the very least, Encarnacion is the guy to look at, regardless of how the lineup composition shakes out. But yeah, if Donaldson's in there, I mean, it's Donaldson. So certainly willing to do that with Tomlin's reverse splits. But yeah, like you mentioned, value in this lineup too. So I like it. As far as Aaron Sanchez, you do kind of worry about him in this matchup, honestly. You just look at the end of the lineup there. You can get pretty reasonably. The Jose Ramirez, Chisenhall, Naquin grouping. I really like those prices.
Yeah, I do too. And 3,400 for Jason Kipnis is certainly something I have an eye on. And I think the Indians are more GPP than cash for me. But I certainly like the upside that they bring. I think they're going to be pretty low owned just because I think obviously Sanchez has pitched well, because there's cores, because the Baltimore game. I think you can catch him at lower ownership than we have in the past.
Agreed.
A's and White Sox here next. Chris Sale versus Ross Detweiler, the Rossweiler. Here for me, this game is kind of interesting because I don't find myself taking shots against Chris Sale, but obviously with four lefty masters in the top of the lineup, it would be a deep tournament play. It's not a perfect matchup by any means, but I mean, we talked about the four names that he's going to have to work around, and they're all going to sit 1 through 4 there.
Right. I like this A's group as like a super contrarian leverage play, but obviously you're not going in cash with them against Sale. But I do think it is something potentially fun to exploit. Overall, though, I don't really want to go all in on this White Sox team. I just don't. I'll definitely fire away a tournament lineup with Saladino, Abreu, and Frazier. Like, that's definitely viable, but I don't know about going all in with this White Sox offense.
Yeah, I'm definitely in agreement. I'm not going to get burned by a 5-run total. I know what they're capable of, and that's nothing because we saw that last night.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Todd Frazier, Tyler Saladino, as you mentioned. Melky Cabrera's hit lefties at a decent rate this year. I'm certainly okay using those names. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it with this White Sox team.
Tim Anderson's okay. He's been doing pretty well of late and only 2,900, but obviously you don't like where he's been hitting in the order, so that's kind of annoying.
Yeah, it definitely is. Twins and Royals next year. Ian Kennedy versus Hector Santiago. Royals side, I mean, certainly intriguing here. Obviously, I like these prices for Paulo Orlando, Cuthbert, and Kane against Santiago, who's been really average against righties and does allow a ton of homers. Those are decent values, and I think those are guys that are cash game playable for me for sure.
Agreed. unlike the White Sox, while the Royals' offense has been inconsistent this year, I just like how they get after weak pitchers and weak lefty arms. So I think this is a good lineup for them. I could see what happened last night where the first few innings, obviously they got rained out and then they didn't finish till like 3 in the morning or whatever. But the first time around, things didn't really start off that well, and then they just started chipping away at Barrios. He started walking people. They started getting on base, and I just think that's what you're looking at again. You're maybe not looking for that 2-home run upside, but I could see a lot of 2-for-3s in this lineup tonight.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And on the Twins side, I mean, there's only one guy I'm actually really looking at, Max Kepler, 3,500, just because Candy does struggle with lefties, 340 WOBA with a 1.99 home runs per nine. I'll take a look at him. Joe Mauer's always had a position where I don't feel like ever using Joe Mauer. So I think Kepler's kind of the lone dog there.
Agreed. Yeah, no. When you kind of look at this lineup, I think you look at Kepler as the guy. Hopefully he gets bumped up to 4th tonight instead of 5th.
Yeah, definitely. Heading into Coors here, Jeff Hoffman versus Mike Montgomery. And this is certainly intriguing, but when you get guys in the 5K range on FanDuel and near 5K with Rizzo, it kind of pushes them into that might be a little too expensive for me, even in Coors.
5K for Brian. I understand why. I mean, I'd rather go Rizzo here, I think, just because of the handedness. But, I mean, I get it, but it hurts. That hurts, man. This looks like a DK pricing lineup. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a tournament lineup for me. I don't want to go these guys in cash, that's for sure.
No, the pricing is just way too high for me. I mean, I don't mind actually diving down into the later half of the lineup. I mean, Zobrist, Russell, Soler, Contreras. I mean, those are certainly reasonable price tags for a really solid matchup. And I don't really ever worry about the batting order in Coors because they're obviously going to get around 4 or 5 times a game most times. So I'm certainly okay with diving down to the second half of that Cubs lineup if you do want to get some good exposure.
Definitely.
So. As far as the Rockies go, I mean, Blackman kind of burned people last night if you used him because he was in the lineup and then got scratched after the rain delay. He would certainly be worth a look at, being red hot, but I think Arenado is probably the one to look at. And even a Ryan Rayburn at 3,300s, a guy I'll take a look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely intriguing. Certainly Arenado you're looking at in cash still. I just like that matchup so much. It is really expensive, but I'm willing to pay that for him.
Yeah, I definitely am too. Diamondbacks and Padres, Robbie Ray versus Clayton Richard. And obviously Clayton Richard's the guy who you can pick on with right-handed bats. I certainly don't mind Gene Segura, Goldschmidt, Ricky Weeks, Tomas grouping again. I mean, and I think they're going to go obviously a little bit lower round. I mean, maybe not Weeks and Tomas just because they have been red hot, but as a stack, I actually don't mind it because I think in Petco it obviously decreases a little bit of their potential, but it's not enough for me to where I'm going to completely fade.
Yeah, definitely agree. Certainly something I'm looking at. I like that Goldschmidt price, especially with the Coors game looming. I don't think many people are going to be on him, so I definitely like that. Ricky Weeks, yeah, I mean, you rolled through this. This is pretty easy. I like these price down Diamondbacks prices.
Yeah, I do too. And on the Padres side, I mean, I can't really get behind a lot of these guys, but a Will Myers at 3,400, I think is one of the viable GPP options. I do like that price quite a bit for him, even though he's kind of come back down to earth here.
This is certainly a game where you could see him going 1 for 4 with a homer and the rest of his lineup just getting no hit. So I think you're definitely looking at him and fading the rest of this lineup.
Yeah, I think so too. Brewers and Mariners next. Felix Hernandez versus Willie Peralta. And obviously Willie Peralta is going to put a lot of us in the driver's seat as far as using Mariners tonight, and really from both sides of the plate. The Kyle Seager price is really nice, sitting at 3.5. I don't mind that. I don't even think Robinson Cano is really out of the potential for me where I'm like, oh, it's a little too high. I think these guys all sit right in a range where I really like it. I think it's certainly a stacking opportunity as well, given you do have Seth Smith and Aoki that are reasonable prices.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the front five in this group. As you mentioned, Adam Lind I think is in play as well. But overall, I don't think this is a night where you jump over Cruz either. Even though it's expensive, I think you can go Cano, Cruz, Seager, and just make a really different lineup that certainly has upside in tournaments. But as far as cash games go, yeah, you really like that Seager price. You really like that Cano price. And I'm even okay with the Aoki and Smith prices.
Yeah, I'll even toss out a Mike Zunino as well, who's been hitting righties really well since coming back into the bigs.
Mm-hmm.
Angels and Yankees here next. Ricky Nolasco. I guess, did we need to talk about Brewers? I'm not really looking to use Brewers.
I think that defines it pretty well.
Okay. Yankees and Angels. Ricky Nolasco versus Luis Cessa. And some of the Angels' prices are certainly intriguing. I mean, and Albert Pujols at 3,400, Cole Calhoun at 32. Trout's still a guy I'd rather not pay for and pay up that price. So I don't mind going at really the front few guys there, but it's not something I'm always jumping over for the Angels.
Yep. I don't know, man. I don't know. Give me Cole Calhoun at 32. But other than that, I just can't do the Angels, man.
No, I can't either. As far as the Yankees, I mean, you look in Nolasco, I mean, against righties has been really bad. 368 WOBA, 1.59 home runs per 9. Lefties, 318, so he's obviously been a little bit more reverse splits. That puts the big bad Gary Sanchez certainly in play. If he's hitting third again, I would love him as a play in all formats. Big
bad Gary Sanchez. He's certainly been bad in a movie villain way.
Yeah,
bad in a good way. Yeah. 2,700. You're obviously licking your chops at that price. So, fire him away in cash once again. He's been automatic. He steals bases. He does everything. So, Nolasco, yeah, fire away with these righties. Starlin Castro again too.
Yeah, and if Aaron Judge is up there in the 6 or 7 spot, I definitely don't mind that. Those guys are starting to kind of creep up into the top half of the lineup, which is nice to see.
Yep.
That's going to wrap things up with the FanDuel Punch-Out. Be sure to check out DaveMasseyCafe.com for our great tools and content.